Welcome to the last lesson for our marketing module. We will firstly talk about legal and regulatory frameworks, and the second part of the lesson will deal with marketing across borders, which means obviously international marketing. The agenda for the regulatory frameworks is why are they important, making agreements and contracts, making statements, intellectual property and trademarks, promotions and incentives, advertising law and regulations, and then we will look at the Data Protection Act and the Market Research Society and their Code of Conduct, the EU Directive on Privacy and Electronic Communications, and then also the opt-in and permission marketing, which is really important nowadays, with very much also with online marketing. It is vital that, especially when you're a marketeer, that you know your legal rights. People nowadays sue easily, and if campaigns are misleading or deemed unethical, that you can get in a lot of problems. And I think in the first lesson we talked about some of the advertising that had been taken off TV because it was, for example, it wasn't unethical, but it was deemed as misleading. Then also it's a very visual environment, and obviously you're making contact with your buyer, you're making agreements with your buyers, so you have to make sure that you send across the right message as well, and that the content of this message is the right content as well. Making agreements, I mean, you probably all have heard about contract law, and it's basically when two or more parties agree to something. Okay, so if I go into Tesco's, for example, and pick up, I don't know, something to eat, and then I buy it, and this is in a way me paying at the till is a contract. They're business-to-business agreements, and obviously you also have business-to-consumer agreement when you, as I said, when you pay company money, and then they give you the product. Making statements, there is one thing that is very important, which is the duty of care that marketers have to be really careful, and that they have to give this to their clients. They can't promise something that then isn't true. Because, and as this example says, if you have a vitamin supplement and it says that you look like Arnold Schwarzenegger in just 7 days, well, it's a very misleading message, because you won't look like him. And then obviously people, will bring the product back, and there'll be a big issue around that as well. So you have to have a duty of care and make sure that any message you bring across to your potential consumers is true. Intellectual property and trademarks is obviously something. Intellectual property is something that can't be covered by just by patents. So that there's, for example, logos, slogans, stuff like that. So every little helps. So any I don't know, Starbucks, McDonald's logo, or they are trademarks. And again, if people use these trademarks or without permission, you can get into a lot of trouble there as well. If you don't, as a company, protect your trademark or your logo, and someone else uses it, you are again. There's nothing you can do about it because you haven't protected it. Promotions and incentives, they are legally binding contracts, but they can't be avoided with small print. They have to make sense, obviously. No purchase is necessary to be able to win, which normally makes me laugh, because otherwise how do you normally get to these promotions? And there's compliance with lottery laws there as well, so they are binding to lottery laws. Advertising law regulations, you've got obviously the Advertising Standards Authority that looks after the ethical and the proper advertising of products and services. Again, the Committee of Advertising Practice, again, ethics, things like that. and then the Broadcast Advertising Clearing Center. So basically, can anything be run through radio, TV? Is an advert fit for that, and can we use that? You've got also have the Trade Description Act, which obviously isn't just binding for advertising; it's for everything, or just for TV adverts or anything. It's it's anything you sell has to be described in a proper manner and be true, and you can't hide anything. So you can't do the false product description. You've got the Consumer Protection Act, so misleading prices, for example, you obviously can't do that. And then the Food Safety Act as well. Then again, false descriptions relating to food, and I think nowadays that's why so many companies actually put onto their products that it may contain nuts, or it was produced at a factory that uses nuts, just in case, even though it doesn't contain any nuts. If someone has an allergy, they don't sue. And then you've got also the misleading advertising regulations. Does the advert deceive, or is it likely to deceive someone? So obviously you have to make sure that this is not happening, that you're not selling something wrong, or something that a feature, a product doesn't have to someone. One big thing obviously the Data Protection Act, and people obviously are allowed to collect your data if you agree to it. However, the consumer obviously has a lot of legal rights here as well, because companies can't just do with your data whatever they want to do. So this is why you've got the Data Protection Act. So it deals with how is the information being handled, how is it being processed, who gets it. What about sensitive data? How is it stored? Is it securely stored? Is it being destroyed after its use has expired? People also, they must have access to the data. You must be able to say, oh, actually, I don't want you to use my data. Yeah. So for example, if you move, you can say, actually, I've moved. Here you go. Can you please put my new address in, and things like that. If you then look at personal data, it's obviously facts and opinions about someone. So it's a fact where you live, but it's also opinion as to what you formed of someone. And then when advertising companies use it, there are 8 rules, so to speak, of good practice. Obviously you have to fairly and lawfully process the information, so you can't just give it to anyone. You can't just have it lying around. Only use it for limited purpose. Whatever you're collecting the data for, just use it for that purpose. Adequate, relevant, and not excessive, so only collect what you need. Don't use and collect information that's actually completely useless to you. Accurate, and where necessary kept up to date. So if you have a database for your clients, make sure that you regularly update their addresses if possible. And not kept longer than necessary. As I said, if you're doing market research, as soon as the market research is finished and you've got your results, destroy the data. And then have to be processed according to the data subject's rights, so they can withdraw when they want, they can amend them if they want. It have to be secure, so I don't know, not just lying around so that everyone can get it, but have it locked away, have it password protected, whatever else you want to do with it, as long as no one else can get to it. And you can't transfer it to any other country that can't guarantee to you that that data isn't protected properly. And then so you've got your individual rights. I went through these. So you've got the people have the right to access. They can stop the processing of the data. You can look at your own information. You can make them pay a fee, but it can't be more than a certain amount. And so you've got this. It has to be destroyed within 40 days. And then you've got the Market Research Society. So obviously, if you as a marketeer doing market research, again, there are certain rules or regulations you have to to adhere to. You can't just collect any random data, do any random market research, or approach any random person. You've got laws and regulations you have to conform to. They have to be ethical. You have to, obviously, if you are talking to children or vulnerable adults or other groups, you have to be careful. Can you approach these groups? How do you approach these groups? You can't force anyone to help you. So again, your people's rights have to be protected. If you want to withdraw, you can withdraw. You can't then say, oh, actually, you can't withdraw from the research. You can only use it for the purpose of your market research. So you can't just keep the data and then use it again for something else. And then obviously you've got to look at the fair competition principles there as well, and that you don't do something that is, again, it links in with the ethics, that is unethical. And then you've got, obviously, being part of the EU means you have EU regulations there as well, and then you've got your EU directive that doesn't just obviously deal with stuff like advertising marketing. It deals with any regulations going on within the EU. So there's a lot to go for example, within the travel sector as well, and it talks about package holidays and things like that. But one of them is the Privacy and Electronic Communications Directive. And it was adopted by all member states in 2003, and obviously it covers direct marketing with any electronic means, so computers, text, pictures, video, email, stuff like that. So viral email probably as well, although that's probably a bit more difficult to monitor. And it's the communication of any advertising or marketing material which is directed to particular individuals, and which would then include these electronic means. You've got email. So you have to, when someone receives this email, they have to know that this is actually an advertising email. So all this spam obviously is illegal. And a valid email address must be provided. So if you've, ordered something somewhere, for let's say Amazon or Play.com or, beauty products or whatever, somewhere there you have to have an email address so that people can actually maybe get back to you as well with queries. And obviously they have to have a little disclaimer that says, if you do not want to receive any more of these emails, go to this, click this here and tick this box, or click this link, and then we won't send you any emails. And then you've got spam, which obviously is part of this as well, which is really annoying, as you all know. I think nowadays a lot of us get more spam emails than anything else. Everyone is included from this regulation, so it doesn't matter who you are, but then there are 9 countries who failed to tell the Commission how they've actually implemented the legislation, if they have actually implemented it properly. There are obviously always problems with this as well, So sometimes it's difficult to distinguish between is it one person or is it a corporate subscriber. So sometimes it is obviously possible within a company to target one person without their consent. So you might have a company email address, but at the end of the day it gets to one person. A lot of the spam comes from the US, Asia and West Africa, and is use of marketing lists and third-party sharing, which again, if you've ordered anything online anywhere and you all of a sudden wonder how does someone completely different get my email address, that is probably how. And then you've got your opt-in, permission and consent. So yes, I would like to receive any more information on your sales or special product and things like that. So you've got this at the moment. There's all this ticking boxes, and then they do the boxes in a way that if you tick this box, then you agree to it. If you don't tick this box, you don't agree to it, and it's just so confusing. You really have to read these little opt-in or consent sentences in order to get tick the right box, because they're smart as well. If they have three different boxes, in one instance they might say, if you tick this box, you opt out, you agree not to receive anything, and the next box might say, tick this box to, not to receive things. So it's and people don't read anything properly nowadays, and then you still keep getting these emails. Uh, yeah, and then you've got something that is obviously the soft opt-in, and this is where you get details when you, for example, buy something online, and where they then keep sending you things because they obviously have your email address on file. And then you send marketing material about similar products. And just because I bought I don't know, a really good condition online doesn't mean I want their shampoo and body lotion either. But because I bought something like it, they would then send me other recommendations. I used to buy shower gel online, and they then used to send me all their offers and offers of their other products as well via email, which was really annoying at one point. Yeah, that's it. And I think this is it's a very quick walk through this. But if you consider Data Protection Act, Advertising Standards Agency, if you want to have a further look into this subject, I would recommend you to do this. And obviously there's a lot of stuff out there online as well where you can find even more information.